Now the 30s guy, 30 to 40. 30 to 40, many people fail to be conservative where they need to be, active where they need to be, and aggressive where they need to be. They get this all mixed up because they take a bigger loan than they should. The indebtedness level increases, so debt servicing becomes a higher share of savings. The second is they don't take risks in equity when the rewards are in favor. They take risks when the rewards are not in favor. The third thing is they overexpose themselves to non-conventional investments, like people have gone into Bitcoin. A lot of people have lost money in such things, exotic stuff. And the last thing is they want to take risks which are completely out of their risk profile. It's not in their risk profile at all, like giving money to a startup of some people they know, lending to a business in their native place of somebody they know, giving money unofficially as loans to people just to earn a higher interest. They do crazy things, and this misallocation of capital in the 30s has consequences. Can you talk about how a 30s guy in his 30s can allocate capital responsibly? Firstly, I am assuming, before you start, I am assuming that the guy who has a loan finishes that by 30.
So, again the 30 to 40 guy, the question is what level of money his parents have had and the girl that he gets married to. Assuming we are talking about a guy, and how much she is earning and what is her background. Now you take one girl that I know about who is the single grandchild on both sides. She does nothing, she will inherit 50 crores, which is a big sum of money in India today. That girl can take as much risk as she wants, but here we are not talking about her, we are talking of a family unit. So if the husband is earning well and the wife is also earning well, they can take more risk. But this is also the time when you want to make your foreign trips, you are having kids, buy a house, spend on good life, you want to take more vacations. So all these things have to happen now. Now is the allocation. Do you want to retire early or do you want financial independence? Financial independence, I am saying, is a good thing to aim for. Retire early is a huge shift in your lifestyle. So we are not talking WARI, we are only talking of FI, that is financial independence. Financial independence you may want at 40 to do your own business, that is also financial independence. So depending on your goals you will allocate. Now if you want to be financially independent at 41, 42, you may decide not to make any foreign trip. That's a choice that you have made. Or if you are going to say, no, I want to work till 60, I want to have a good life, then you start making your foreign trip. So allocating between saving, investing and enjoying, you have to make that thing, because you think he is sacrificing by not making foreign trips, but he, in his head, he is accumulating capital for a business. Right, so he doesn't think he's making a sacrifice. But remember, this has to be a family decision. Husband and wife both have to agree. They have to sit and talk to their financial planner or their advisor and decide what level, what returns they want and what they are willing to do.
From what you are saying, more than wants, I think that you must know your needs clearly and then decide whether your needs, wants can be your needs. And
your goals very clearly.
Wants can be your needs.
Yeah, your goal should be very clear that I don't want any of these things because I want to be financially independent to do something. Or somebody saying, look, anyway I'm going to inherit a big house from my father, I don't need to buy a house. I will just spend money on cars and vacations. So for each individual it will change.
The point that comes across very strongly in what you are saying is that your self-awareness level has to be very high. You need to be far more better equipped to deal with more goals and more needs, and you need to communicate much better. Yes. And lastly and critically, you need to be more planned in everything you do. So that seems to be the overarching need.
And making sure that the documentation is perfect. Names in all the assets in your PAN card, Aadhaar card should be right. Younger people, more reason to have a will. The day you have real estate, you have to have a comprehensive will. Make sure that everything is written down. Make sure that your wife and the husband both know where the copy of the will is kept. Maybe your parent should know, because right now your children are too young. So making sure that the documentation is right, making sure that the goals are well articulated, maybe written down, and then doing everything. These are far more important than what is the return that you're getting on your portfolio.
Very, very strong points that you have made. I want to now ask you about the 40s. What should a person have achieved at age 40?
40 is the age when you know whether you're going to make it to the corner office or not going to make it to the corner office. Whether you've got ESOPs which you have encash, not encash, and all that. And that's the time you've largely decided where you want to stay for the rest of your life. To me, 40s to 50s is extremely crucial, because people think all the wealth is going to be made from 50 to 60 when your income will be the highest. That may be true, but now I know of cases where at 50, 52 something happens by which the person's ability to earn goes down. It could be a physical thing, it could be death, it could be illness, it could be anything, loss of job, because a 55-year-old cannot find a job in this country. It's a very young country. 40s, yes, from a financial security and salary income point of view. Somebody who's in business could earn till 70, but from a salary point of view, 40 to 50 is extremely crucial, extremely critical. And here I would step back and say, if the woman is well qualified and she's taken a break for having kids, it's time she gets back into a job, because all the great things you have achieved with an 18% return was perhaps unnecessary. If wife was also contributing, a 12% return would have created the same thing. Earlier, maybe you took risk, the market did well, you got 18% and you created a corpus. That risk was unnecessary if your wife was also contributing. The biggest asset between a husband and wife of a first generation is their income earning capacity. So if the husband is earning 1 crore a year and the wife is capable of earning 60, 70 lakhs or 50 lakhs, that 50 lakhs should not be missed, because 50 lakhs over 10 years is 5 crores. That is a very big amount. Don't give up your ability to earn. Do work from home, do part-time, become a partner with somebody, do something, don't give. That is your biggest asset. Having done that, make sure that money is allocated for children's education. Again, a percentage. If your kid gets admission in Ivy League and you have to spend 2 crores, it's a great idea only if you have 15 crores or 16 crores. If you have 5 crores, are you willing to put 2 crores on one child's education? I think it's unfair, because if something were to happen to you, how are you going to recover that 2 crores, right? If you are not able to earn money or something happens to your child, all that risk comes in. So find out what you are going to spend, how much you are going to spend. Ensure that your child understands. Don't think your child knows whether you can afford or not afford. Talk to the child very honestly and say, look, 2 crores, I can afford only 40 lakhs.
So in the 40s, the transparency required within the family is higher than in the 30s.
Yes, because if your kids are small, you just tell them, look, we can't afford to go to Disneyland, we're going to Goa. That's enough. But at the higher level, you have to say, look, I can afford your MBA in IIM, but I can't afford your MBA in Harvard, because that's going to cost me 2 crores. I don't have that kind of money. Better to be upfront, and don't think your children are going to feel bad.
Subra, I'm going to play contra on this point that you just mentioned. Why should a parent give money to his child to do an MBA? Why can't he borrow, study and repay? I am really stumped by parents who feel the need or the compelling requirement to finance their children in higher education. I can understand the undergrad.
But higher education loans are not available. If my daughter gets admission into Harvard, loans are not available. Loans are available because of the guarantee that I give, not because of her own competence.
But still you can have an understanding that that person only will repay. No, why should you take that risk at the age of 40 as a salaried person?
I am taking the risk by signing. I am signing, right? If my daughter does not repay, I have to still repay. Okay. But my daughter gets a feeling that it is her job to repay. Yes, so if I feel my daughter is not responsible enough, then maybe I should do it.
No, even if a child is responsible, don't you think it's a good thing for the parent to make the child accountable for the loan?
Partially yes, partially no.
Because it is not your aspiration to do MBA, no, it is his aspiration.
Partially, I don't know, partially yes and partially no, because a loan puts tremendous pressure to take the first job that you get. if you want your kid to have some independence, you partially fund it and say, okay, you take a 1 crore loan. But one thing I'll tell you, Indian kids, competent kids whom I see, take a 7-year loan and repay in 1 year. Tremendously well, they are grounded, they will not buy a car, they will use a cycle. I've seen these kids.
There are plenty of them. And I feel that it is only families which raise such children that see the full benefits of the parents' career success also. Otherwise, what I am seeing, and I want to be a little open about what I am going to say just now. A person has achieved way beyond what he was expected to, way beyond his peers in his career. He has risen. His natural aspiration is his child should rise to the same extent or higher. Isn't it a normal expectation? So he supports the child in education in various ways possible. But in the process, he doesn't put enough pressure on the child to be financially accountable. He doesn't put enough pressure. The pressure is inadequate. Because in the mind of the child, education and marriage is to be paid for by the parent. And the specification is not the parent's choice. Specification is my choice, my parents will pay. In the process, the very way in which this whole system works makes it very suboptimal in the financial outcomes which the child achieves later, because there is no pressure. Whereas these cases which you are mentioning, there is huge pressure, right? And once the payoff happens, the same habit then goes into the investing. Please understand. You talked about 1 year payoff of a loan. The same pace, if he is going to invest for the next 5 years, he is set to be rich, sir. There is nothing that can stop him from becoming rich. Whereas this parent, who sacrificed everything, who actually came up like this other guy whom we are stereotyping, that guy doesn't make his children value that behavior. And by virtue of it, neither the child reaches the potential, nor this guy at the age of 50.
No, I see all kinds of people. I see kids who are extremely responsible with money, and parents which say, let's say a parent has 20 crores thanks to ESOP, appreciation of equity, etc. And the kid comes and says, I've got admission in Stanford or Chicago Booth or Harvard. For a middle class guy, it is impossible to say I won't pay. His own mother.
I am not saying
No, I'm saying his own family will say, are you mad? Why should your daughter borrow money in such your kid is so deserving. Okay. I am worried about those places where the kid is not deserving and people buy admission using their money. That also happens. So if your kid is competent, you part fund and you say, okay, partly you fund. And there are kids who will not take money. I have a niece who will not take money from her father for her vacation.
So this quality of engagement and conversation has very huge bearing on that person's 40 to 50 phase of life, where he ends up at 50. So you are saying that each one should be judicious. We are not giving too prescriptive things because we have given a lot of descriptions, but no prescriptions, except that you need to be more upfront, more careful, and you should make the entire family more accountable.
More accountable. And you say both kids I will treat equally, which for the middle class is impossible. For example, if you have two children, one child says I want 40 lakhs for higher education, I am going to Harvard, father will happily give. If one kid says I want to, I want to do hair designing in Switzerland, he will not give, because the father is being judgmental. You shouldn't be. You want to do this 40 lakhs, you want to do this 40 lakhs. Both of you, I won't give more than 40 lakhs, this is what I can afford for you. That you have to be judicious and clear and be impartial. But by 50, you should have set all the things in line. I'm assuming this is a person who is in service. Be ready for everything stopping at 50. Anything from 50 to 60, you fund your luxuries, you fund your vacations, you enjoy because you have set everything in motion. Maybe by 55 you have accumulated enough money for retirement, then you start enjoying yourself. So you can do that also.
It's been very interesting to discuss 20 to 30, 30 to 40 and 40 to 50. But asset allocation for somebody who is moving towards retirement has to be very different. and we will discuss that in the next video. Before we close, some thoughts on how a person's asset allocation should shift between 40 and 50, because I think we have not covered that. I would like you to say that and we will close this video.
So 40 to 50, you know where you're reaching and where you will reach, whether you will keep your job till you're 65, some people do, or whether you will lose it at 55. Depending on that, you will go to less fluctuating assets, maybe by the time you're 55, 56, but also understand, Shyam, you want to live till 90. So you cannot say I will not be in equity at all. So you will be in equity at least to the extent of 30-35%, which will take care of the inflation from your age of 60 till your age of death, right? So to that extent, and then you can do the drawdown. So again, the old rule of saying at least 50% in equity and 50% in debt will apply. Again, if the absolute corpus is huge, you can come down to 30-35% in equity also. But if it's a fairly competent person who understands equity, he can go a little higher. But yes, the whole range from say 35 to 60-65 in equity. But please understand, that is assuming that husband and wife both understand. If the wife says I don't understand, you have to be willing to shift to index funds. You cannot create a portfolio which is a complex portfolio based on your complex mind. If your wife does not want it, shift to a simpler portfolio. That all that has to happen at this stage.
Thank you so much, Subra. We are going to continue asset allocation and move towards retirement in the next discussion, and that's going to be very, very interesting.